Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we are going to take a look at a flashlight offering from the company Olight. The flashlight we're going to take a look at today is the M1T Raider. Now the M1T Raider to me is kind of a flashlight between a couple of different sort of genres of light. Is it a tactical light? Is it more EDC? To me it kind of goes both ways. But this, to me, is sort of like the little brother to the M2T Warrior. Now, the M2T Warrior being a tactical style 18650 battery-powered flashlight. This here is a CR123 battery-powered flashlight. A little bit smaller, a little more compact, fits a little more kind of, I'd say disappears a little bit more in your hand, disappears a little more in your pocket than the M2T Warrior, but it has a lot of similar look and feel in a way. So if you have had your hands on the M2T Warrior and you're looking for something just a little bit smaller, this may be an option for you. Now, before I get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Olight who have provided this product for review. Now, I got a bunch to talk about, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about this flashlight, do me a favor. Stay tuned. So, as I mentioned, this M1T Raider is sort of the smaller brother to the M2T Warrior. I was fortunate enough to get my hands on the M2T Warrior thanks to Carlos at Daily Carry Solutions. Now, a while back, I did do a bunch of field testing with the M2T Warrior, and I very much enjoyed it. The main reason being really three kind of key factors. One, that tactile switch on the back, very easy to find. Maybe, in my opinion, one of the best overall feeling tail cap switches on any light whatsoever. That not only the case on the M2T Warrior, but also on this M1T Raider. Next, the overall diameter and fit in the hand. That is something that is very nice about these particular flashlights. I absolutely love the way they fit in your hand, the way they feel. Nice overall construction and knurling. That is something that Olight does very well. And also the double-sided tail clip. Maybe, again, one of the best on any flashlights you can get your hands on. I do very much like this. It works very well, gives you options, and you're not worried about flipping the clip around to make it actually work in two different directions. You kind of get the benefit of both I'd call it bezel down or bezel up carry. So definitely a great feature. So here with the M1T Raider, you'll see the box, and inside has the little pamphlet that comes with it. This has a lanyard, which I typically don't use, and not something that I'm really going to EDC. This does come with the battery, so taking the tail cap off, sliding out the battery. This is a standard Olight battery. Now this is a CR123, but you will notice this is not rechargeable. So you need to be just a little bit mindful to the fact that after you've used this for a while, you want to think about having yourself another battery source for this, whether or not you're going to get a rechargeable battery or just another CR123, just something to keep in mind. Now, in my opinion, Olight has some of the overall best construction, best looking lights. They are very sleek and refined. I love the way they do the knurling. They've done an excellent job on the M1T Raider, as was also the case on the M2T Warrior. Very similar in terms of what they've been doing with that bright blue bezel. And this has a really nice overall beam pattern with the lens here being kind of a hybrid between a thrower and a flutter, but overall having a nice even beam pattern. This does not have all too much in the way of an overall hotspot. Now getting into the deep details of this M1T Raider, when you look at the actual lumen output choices, it is a little bit funny. This light has two different outputs. This has a 500 lumen full output when you fully depress the light. And then it also has a 5 lumen, call it firefly or moonlight mode, but the only way to get into it is to double half press real fast and then click it in the rest of the way. It's a little bit funny. I will do that again. So again, you can either momentary press fully to give you that 500 lumen output. You can also click the light on completely to get your 500 lumen output. But to get into that 5 lumen, call it firefly or moonlight mode, you have to momentary press twice, a double press, to get it into that mode, and then you can depress the rest of the way to lock it in. That to me is kind of funny. I think other reviewers, if you watch other reviewers talking about this, that is really the biggest complaint. Personally, I don't like 5 lumen output. I think that's a little too soft for most things. I do not personally use a flashlight like this to do much reading. To me, it's kind of funny. It doesn't serve too much purpose. So in that regard, for me personally, I think I would have rather had a flashlight with that full 500 lumen output and something maybe more in the 25 to 50 mark if you were still going to double press. To me, that would have made this a lot more useful. Now, keep in mind one thing. I probably have a different flashlight need than many other people and maybe most of you. I actually use my flashlights for daily carry at the workplace. I use this primarily as an inspectional flashlight. So my needs and criteria are quite different from most other people. I'm not really using this to do a lot of reading. I am pretty much using this to either illuminate my way through dark areas or trying to see detail on heavy equipment or machinery and things like that. So my need is significantly different from many other people, so my lumen needs and outputs would vary from other typical users. But with that said, I have carried this for quite a while now. Actually, I've had this in my pocket for over a month, and I'm actually kind of overdue on this review. But that did give me a real good opportunity to use this. And what I can tell you is I pretty much only use the 500 lumen output. At this point, when you use the light long enough and your battery power starts to drain, it does eventually drop down to a 300 lumen output. And at that point, I'm a little bit confused, to be honest with you. With the factory battery that comes with this, I can't even tell you whether or not right now I'm putting out 500 lumens or 300. I'm not too sure. But what I can tell you is the beam pattern is beautiful, an excellent overall beam. That is one of the best things you get with this light, a nice even beam without too much of a hot spot. It's a nice even glow all the way through the beam pattern, and to me that is definitely a plus. Now, I'm absolutely digging this pocket clip. It does give you the ability to either carry it bezel down or bezel up. So depending on what your actual needs and likes are, this is, call it ambidextrous in a way. It is a clip that is very nice. I love the way the flashlight just kind of disappears in your pocket. It's small. It's a small overall diameter. And even if you're rocking that thing side by side with your knife, it actually works out pretty darn well. Now, one thing that is worth noting, and it is a subtle detail, you need to be a little bit careful with the fact that you do have the exposed clip sticking in the up direction. I find a lot of times with different fabrics or things like that, I do have the ability to potentially snag this. So strangely enough, I have been laying on my couch and kind of roll around a little bit, and when I go to get up, that clip is kind of stuck in the fabric of the couch. Not a big deal, just something to keep in mind, and that absolutely would not be a problem if you had it in the bezel up position. So it's really just a consideration when you have the bezel down configuration in your pocket, just to be a little mindful of the exposed clip. Now what I want to do is roll in some quick footage. I did have the opportunity to take this out on a backpacking trip to see how it would perform in the wilderness. So hang tight and we'll roll in some of that footage. Not quite enough light for the camera to really focus. But this
here is the pond we are camping at, and I'm curious about how much I can see. So this is the M1T Raider, and if I'm going to half press here, this does have a momentary press, half press, and that is a full 500 lumen beam. And I'm trying to see how far I can see, and this does not quite go. I don't know if you can even see that. That's probably 120 feet away if I had to guess over there. Does not quite go that far, but in terms of being able to see down here at the shoreline, it is actually pretty good. This is actually nicely illuminating the area here with an even beam. It's one nice thing about these Olight flashlights. The beam is very even. And so this is a good amount of light here. I feel like it's a little bit overkill for as much as I need, but it's a good amount to have. So I think this works pretty well. And then the only thing that is funny is needing to double press real fast. You kind of blip through that 500 lumen mode into the moonlight mode. So, you know, here I can depress the light at this point and engage it. I mean, this is enough light to do a general camp task, moving around and kind of, you know, looking at your surroundings, getting up, going to the bathroom, finding your shoes, you know, no problem. If I had to find something that I had to close by, this would be okay. And then in terms of like navigating around, it's a little bit under illuminated, just a little bit under illuminated, so I'd say you're better off probably just going with the full blast to really see what's going on. So as a camp light, it kind of works, but it is just a little bit cumbersome. So I have my Olight headlamp here, which definitely has a hot spot and some decent flood on the outside. I try to kind of match the lumen output, and then turning on this M1T Raider, there you have it. Just a very even mix of that sort of floodiness and a tight spotty beam. So it's kind of like a jack of all trades. Now I'm thinking I got the lumen output probably pretty good on the Olight, but I can try to dial it in a little closer to a closer comparison of brightness, and you'll see that that's just a tight hot spot, where the M1T Raider's a much more even beam.
Now at this point, let's take a look at this just a little bit more. We're going to head outside and take a look in my yard. I'll show you some examples. Now the M1T Raider here, you'll see it on full power. So here I am using it in my backyard, just trying to illuminate my yard and the overall sort of patio, fire pit, and lawn area. So you'll see my fence in the back. You'll see the fire pit kind of here in the foreground. And this is basically the 500 lumen output. So you'll notice that the beam is quite even, as I had showed before, just a little bit while I was camping, just a comparison between those couple of different beams. So, you know, the idea here is, you know, I have probably 40 or 50 feet between me and the back fence line over there, and you'll see just that nice even beam, so plenty of light to be able to see what's going on. But now when I double press real quick and I put this into that 5 lumen output mode, you see absolutely nothing, barely any light. You can see maybe in the corner just a little bit kind of sticking out. Now what I'm going to do is tilt the camera down, and really at this point you can see that I'm really only able to illuminate the area directly in front of me. So again, talking about my need to use this as an inspectional flashlight, that does not necessarily do me too much good. Now maybe for somebody else or some of you who would use this for a different purpose, it would work just well. But for me, I'd love to have more of maybe like a 50 lumen output, and then have that 500 to illuminate further away. That would give me the detail that I need and to be able to see things just a little bit further away. But even up close, as I blast this, the full 500 lumen output, I mean, that is not a crazy amount of light to really disturb me. I do not have any overall problems with how much light this is. So to me, again, the 5 lumen output is just kind of funny. I think for me, pretty much just using that 500 lumen output is the bulk of what I would use it for. So to me, this effectively becomes pretty much a 1 output light. So all right guys, there you have it. a look at this Olight M1T Raider. For me, a little bit hit or miss. Overall, I definitely like it. This is a flashlight that pretty much just melts into your pocket. It's not going to bother you with the bulk and the size. A little bit cumbersome where you don't have the ability to recharge the battery, but not a huge deal. The main thing to consider, this does come with the battery, and you need to be ready to have another battery option for when this runs out, especially since it is not rechargeable. So one last time, I'd like to say thank you very much to the people at Olight for providing this for review. Overall, I generally like it. I think it's a great product, little bit limited, but you know what? That's okay. You need to kind of put different things out there. Everybody has a different need. Everybody has a different lumen need and output and intended use. And so for that, it's actually diversifying the overall collection, and I definitely get it. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.